What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
Hey, welcome to episode 1 of the Fantasy Points version of the DFS cage match. This is, of course, a continuation of the Al Smizzle show. Smizzle is stepping away from streaming this season, so Scott asked Al if he would be okay with Fantasy Points continuing on the tradition of doing the DFS cage match show. Jake and I are going to be doing the show weekly. We will have a rotating guest, so it's going to be a little bit different because Smiz just had one guest per week. It's going to be 3 of us doing the show instead of 2 each week, so slightly different in that sense. But if you are not familiar, it's going to be a draft show. We're going to be drafting lineups on DraftKings. We have to kind of do it on our own, but we go through pick by pick, each making our picks, try to make the best lineups we can, competing against each other. There should be some gamesmanship. I'm sure I'll be sniping Jake throughout the year quite a bit. Really looking forward to doing the show, and of course, also continuing on the Al Smizzle tradition of charity. So Al, every week, he and his guest would choose a charity to donate to. Fantasy Points very generously offered to give $100. So Jake and I each week are going to pick a charity, and our guest will pick a charity. Whoever wins each week, Fantasy Points is going to donate $100 to that charity. So really looking forward to doing this show this year. But that we're not looking at that just yet. What we have up on the screen right now is ASS. That is a new Fantasy Points stats. And Scott, don't think there's a better person out there to talk about what we have here. What is going on with all this ASS at Fantasy Points today?
Yeah, man, this is what we've wanted for years. Like everyone within the analytics community for over a decade is like, I just want receiver separation data. I want it for all players in every game on every route, not just targeted routes. And that's what we have. And so with the power of the Fantasy Points data suite, you can customize it, you can filter it, you can split it. So you can look at who are the best, worst separators against cover 2, against cover 3, man coverage. You can look at it by the routes, who runs the best go route, who runs the worst curl route in the NFL. Route breaks, that was kind of what Chris Wecht, our projections are, pounded the table for, and that seemed to be like a really crucial add. Horizontally breaking routes are among the most valuable in fantasy. The more horizontally breaking routes a wide receiver runs, the higher their fantasy production we should expect from them. And so you can just look at this in a myriad of ways, but it's, again, on a play-by-play level, a full season sample size. Excuse me. And no one else has this. This is what I wanted for over a decade. I literally basically founded a company just in order to get this stat. And it is so damn cool. It's stickier. It's more predictive than anything else in the market. It's a more robust sample size because it's at the play-by-play level. You can access more details that other sites don't offer. And so, yeah, man, I really think this is literally like a revolutionary day in football analytics history.
I agree with you. I mean, this is super exciting.
But the real reason I did it was just so I could say, to make butt puns and say,
yeah, a lot of great butt puns already happening. I assume this is going to cost people thousands of dollars to have access to this tool. Is that correct?
Only thousands, not millions, Neil?
Maybe millions. I don't know.
Believe it or not, it's only $200, and then you can take an extra 20% off using coupon code ASSMAN20, ASSMAN20. Limited time only, might only run that for 24 hours, 48 hours. So make sure you get in quickly with ASSMAN20. That's all. By the way, that also applies to the all-in package where the data suite comes included.
I want to throw it to Jake, but before I throw it to Jake, I just want to ask you one thing, Scott. What are the biggest surprises the things that you think people are going to be most surprised about when looking at the ASS data?
For sure, Rashad Bateman ranking top 3 overall. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love to see that, but our guy Stephen O'Rourke, lead film analyst, broke down his film, 15-minute YouTube video. It's on my timeline right now. And he did an amazing job. And like, you can't watch that and be like, and not be like, okay, this guy's a stud. What is going wrong? Like, why isn't he getting targets? All the other outliers, I broke them down in a thread I did today. Just here's my top sleepers and breakout candidates. And these were all players where when I saw their names 3 months ago, I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. Andres Ioshivas, I like barely ever heard of this guy. Jalen Naylor, who even is that? But like Demarcus Robinson, whatever. And so all these guys then became like the superstars of training camp. And so that just made me feel even more convicted in the data and the work our good charters are doing.
Yeah, definitely a good sign. You guys probably already know me and Scott doing Outside the Box together again this year. Super excited to be working with Scott again every Saturday. Love doing that show. But I'm also really excited to do this show every week with Jake. Jake and I were a duo throughout the UFL season. It was a lot of fun doing content with Jake. Jake also helped me out on my channel quite a bit this summer. So very excited to get to do this show with Jake this year. Jake, are you also excited, or are you mad that you have to do a show with me?
No, I'm very excited, Neil. You were my top choice for doing shows, of course, tied with everyone else that I do shows with, but right there at the top. And really, I'm just excited to stay fresh, getting ready for the 2025 UFL season by getting to spend an hour each week with my best friend Neil Orfield.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We are going to have some fun on this show with rotating guests. Like I said, this is we are going to be donating to charities. I just want to look very, very quickly at the charities that we are going to be donating to. So, Scott, this is the charity that you chose to donate to this week. Tell me a little bit about why you chose this charity, Brothers of Patterson.
Yeah, my former coworker runs it, and he's a really good guy, and he cares a lot. And he does good work. And yeah, so I'm just going to support him, support his charity. It's like a big brother thing for Patterson, New Jersey. And yeah, but I'll be honest, like if anyone's at home, like, oh, like, I'll match whoever wins this week and donate to their charity. My favorite charity is literally just give $100 to a homeless person. I do that all the time. And like, it's the best feeling in the world. Like the person like breaks down in tears, and it just like reminds you like to be a better person and like
love that,
see humanity in people. And so it's just like something that like doesn't mean like what's $100 to me. Like, okay, I gotta skip can't go out to eat on Friday with the wife or whatever, but like to this person, this means so much. So really recommend everyone doing that.
Yeah, I am definitely on the same page. That's actually like sort of a controversial take. Like there are people like, oh, don't give money to homeless people. They're just going to use it on alcohol, whatever. And I'm like, I don't really honestly care, even if they do. I don't think that is the case. I think a lot of people are struggling. So I am with you. I think that's a very good cause to just give to people in need.
It's also good karma. Don't forget.
It is also
my
good
story
karma.
about a Costco parking lot giving a homeless person money, and then going back to the car and looking at my phone and seeing I won $25,000 on DraftKings.
I forgot about that. That was just last year too. Yeah, that is good karma. All right, my charity this week is the ALS Association. This was actually Trey's idea. This is an organization that has helped out quite a bit with our producer Trey. One of Trey's friends' father. They could not say enough positive things about the ALS Association. Trey vouched for them, so I said, let's do it this week. This seems like a great organization. We have the backing of Trey and his friends, so I thought that this was a very worthy cause. And then Jake, finally, yours will go to the Friends of North Augusta Animals. Tell us about this organization a little bit.
Yeah, so this is a great organization. They do a bunch of good stuff for animals, but one of my favorite things that they do is they catch, neuter, and release stray cats. City of Augusta, North Augusta, pretty big stray cat population. I actually found my cat, Lil Bebo, who's asleep on my couch right now, outside my door. He was captured, neutered, and released, and then showed up at my house. So that's a pretty great program, and would love to donate to them.
Hell yeah. Not EOM says, my mom's husband got diagnosed with ALS out of nowhere last month. Really sorry to hear that. Not EOM. That's very sad. All right. For a very awkward transition now. I think we're trying to keep the show to about an hour, so I guess we should start the drafting now. Jake and I have decided that we are going to allow the guest to choose their draft spot, and then Jake and I are just going to rotate back and forth who goes first of the two of us. So Scott, I believe you said you want to go first. Is that correct? Wait, is
Oh,
Scott
he's muted already.
Of course he is. What an asshole.
We aren't even 10 minutes into the show. That's insane. Is that your first mute of the season?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I'll go first. You want to give me Drake London?
Not really. But you have the first pick. So if you want him, you can have him. What is the price on Drake London? Okay. 6,000. You wanna expound on that at all, or is that just you just like the value of Drake London?
Oh, yeah. Look behind the curtain glasses here as I have fantasy points projections up on the screen, and Drake London far and away top wide receiver value on the week. I mean, Jake and I were talking about it where in years past, like DraftKings just didn't price week 1 in line with ADP at all. And this year they really did, with the one exception being Drake London.
Yeah, if you look at, where the market's at for best ball on Drake London, he is the most mispriced player on the week 1 main slate. Yeah, pretty incredible value there.
Yeah, that is definitely. I can see why Scott wanted to go first with Drake London when I see the $6,000 price tag for a first round receiver. So nice pick there for Scott. Jake, you're up.
I'm going to go with Rachaad White here. And that is in part because Scott wanted me to lower his projection last night, and I attempted to, and I realized you really can't get him that much lower. The backup here is Bucky Irving, who weighs 185 pounds. He did not play a single snap with the starters with Baker Mayfield in preseason. I mean, I think he's the clear number 2, but really Rachaad White is going to be a massive bell cow here. And crucially, White is $1,300 cheaper than he was in week 17 of last season. That's a pretty hefty discount for a guy that we would expect to be a bell cow, at least early in the season.
From the Coach Speak Index, literally 2 minutes ago, Todd Bowles on the running back rotation. I think it'll be a game by game basis. You normally go with the hot hand, but since nobody has played yet, obviously White starts, and then we'll kind of go from there and see how the other guys are used. Yeah, Dave Canales, bell cow. I don't know. I know people are like going too overboard with it within like the analyst community where it's like he's not even on the team anymore, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a Rachaad White hater. Still want to bump him down, but we'll see. Maybe he'll beat me with him.
Definitely not great to get cucked by a Coach Speak Index tweet right as I select Rachaad White. But here's the thing: when I was playing around with these projections last night, you could cut Rashaad's carry share by another 10, 12%. He'd still be a top 5 value. It doesn't matter. He's a great price.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm realizing that there's some injury news that I just saw. I'm looking at the fantasy points projections prior to making my first pick, and I see Kyle Pitts is only 4,600, but we have to deal with potential injury with Kyle Pitts, so that makes it a little bit awkward. So now I gotta adjust what I want to do with my pick. There are some solid tight end options. I think I'm just gonna go with the most out. Yeah, I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard. The top point per dollar value at 5,300 should be starting. They talked about how much how dedicated they're going to be to running the ball this year. So I think Chuba at 5,300 is going to be a bell cow in the short term. So got to take advantage of it while I can. Don't love the matchup with New Orleans, but 5,300 is just a very fair price there. So I'll go with Chuba. Now the question, another thing that we have not talked about, I think we just go back to Scott here, right? We're not going to do like
no, it's snake style.
Oh, it is snake. So I get 2 picks in a row. Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah. Then I'm going to go with Josh Palmer. I've been beating the drum for Josh Palmer throughout the offseason. He's only 5,200 here. Las Vegas, not the easiest defense in the world, but should be a competitive game. The last I saw, Justin Herbert is going to be good to go for this game. So I think Josh Palmer is a solid pick there. Jake, back to you.
I'm going to scoop up some value here and go with Jalen Naylor. Just a really, really cheap price tag for a guy who is going to be out there a ton for Minnesota. And one of the great things with Minnesota, I mean, the limited participation in practice with the ankle isn't great. But one of the best parts about Minnesota is that they put up passing yards like basically no other team, and at 3,000, 2 or 3 catches, and you're more than fine. By the way, since I just drafted a player with a questionable tag, for swaps, are we just going to go with the next best player, or you choose your next best player at that price or lower?
Yeah, I think that the way to go is just since we will have already made all of our picks. If you swap, I think that you get to choose whoever you want. Although that gets a little bit like you could there could be some gamesmanship there where you where like you try to take a questionable player because other value might pop up. Scott, do you have thoughts on this? I know that you've watched the show. Do you know what Al has done in the past? I didn't catch that in the episodes that I watched, how he would handle that.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask him. If a guy is out, you could swap.
Yeah, I think if a guy is inactive, you should be able to swap to whoever you want, but only if the player is inactive. I think that should be the rule, that you can just make the swap, because at that point, the other teams will have made all their picks, so all of the best values should be gone anyway.
Yeah, but why not just to get, because you're recording on a Wednesday. Like I am not a good DFS analyst on Wednesday. I'm great on Saturday when we record. So if I just go all questionable, you guys got to think that through. I'm not going to play any of those mind games with you. I don't need to. I'm just that good. But you guys got to get your ducks in a row before week 2 and settle that. I could also ask Al and see what he did. But I know something I'm going to do is and this is where it gets tricky with 3 people, is I'm going to accidentally try to draft one of your players. Like I'm going to try and draft Jalen Naylor. And you're like, dude, I took him 5 rounds ago. There needs to be a punishment for anyone who does that. Or maybe we could just pull it up on screen and see. I don't know.
Wait, a punishment for sniping?
No. Is if you try to draft a player who is already drafted.
Oh, yeah. We should definitely have a punishment for that. If you just forget that somebody was drafted.
Yeah, maybe it's easier to do these 3 teams in a Excel spreadsheet, so you know who's drafted and who's not, or not.
Maybe
you could also just pay attention, Scott.
I'm not going to do that.
If we had an advanced Excel sheet that would like show you the amount of salary left, that kind of stuff, that would be helpful. I was also thinking about that aspect of it, like just getting to the final 2, like the final picks we have to make. Like, what if you run out of salary? What happens in that case? Then you also have to adjust. I assume you just we just give a swap at that point, swap somebody else out so you can have enough salary to fill your roster.
A lot of these problems can be solved by paying attention.
They can. That is true. That is true. But do you trust us? Do you trust the guests that we're going to bring on? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I did want to say with Scott on. I did want to say with Jalen Naylor. Someone said Naylor. I barely know her. I thought that was good. But that is good. Leads all players in AS over the last 2 seasons. It's like the smallest sample size, but it is really cool. Shout out Crack Rock, who says like he's going to be a big part of the offense. Like I know he's the number 3, but the team's kind of disillusioned with Jordan Addison. Hawkinson's going to be out a while. They want him healthy for next year. Jefferson's going to be triple teamed. He's also like kind of an interesting college prospect. He was more productive than Jaden Reed and Keon Coleman with Michigan State. So yeah, I think that was a good pick, but now it's my turn. I'm going to
back.
I don't think I need to go for upside too much in a 3-man, but I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. I know you're worried about the injury, but he said he's fine.
Yeah, that was a really weird sort of news stretch where it popped up that he has a hamstring injury, and then every other report was like, yeah, his limited availability amounts to 1 to 2 missed plays today in practice.
Right.
Yeah, I guess we
announced we launched AS.
Yeah.
And then like everyone got distracted by the Pitts tweet, which like stepped on our toes. That annoyed me so much. And then 2 hours later, it was like, he missed 2 plays. What are we doing?
That's funny. Scott, you better go get Kirk now, because otherwise I'm going to snipe you.
All right. I guess I have to do it. Psych. I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard.
Oh my gosh.
You are punished immediately.
No, did I already do it?
This is the 3rd round, Scott. Yes, it was my first pick.
Am I not the worst? I go on mute every single time I walk away from the computer. I already did it. Jeez.
Man, that was
great. All right. Well, you took Palmer too. I'm taking Tyreek. Screw you guys.
All right. It's a good pick.
That's a great pick.
It's a good
way better than Chuba Hubbard, who stinks.
8,700. Good luck. You're gonna have to make some changes late.
Well,
you're not gonna be able
luckily I have a subscription to the FantasyPoints optimizer, so this is gonna be easy for me.
That is true. That would make it easier if we were using the optimizer here. Jake, you are on the clock.
This is a tough one. I was ready to take Tyreek with my next pick. Was really hoping you would let Scott just double up on Chuba. Instead, I'm gonna go with Bijan here. Lock up my running back room, and I think there's pretty solid wide receiver value across the board. So not too worried about spending up.
Interesting. So you guys like people who put up fantasy points. Different approach than mine. I just go for the best values. You guys are taking the guys who actually put up fantasy points. Can't be too mad at that pick. All right, now I need to think about what do I want to do here. Yeah, man, Tyreek, pretty damn good. All right, let me see. You know what? Do I do it? I have a thought. I'm thinking about somebody in particular, but let me just think for a second about whether I want to flip this. No, screw it. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors. I think that the Vikings secondary is terrible. He's not going to project super well as a rookie, but I think he's going to have a great game starting in week 1. So I am going with Neighbors with this one. He actually projects pretty well point per dollar at fantasy points. So that is good to see.
That's a good pick.
And I get another pick too. All right. Let me take a look. I'm looking at the projections a little bit. I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker. Another very, very solid point per dollar pick. Yeah, I know, Ball. Thank you for acknowledging. All right. And I'm sending it back to you, Scott. So Scott, I have taken Chuba Hubbard, Kenneth Walker, Josh Palmer, Malik Neighbors. Jake has taken Drake London, Tyreek Hill, Kyle Pitts, and you can see who you've taken here. So
no, it's you got it mixed up.
Frame of reference here.
You got it mixed up, Neil. Yeah, that is my.
Oh, you're right.
White, Bijan, and
All
Naylor.
Right. Yep. Damn it! I was trying to do a little bit, and I screwed it up. All right, back to you, Jake.
All right, so let's see. I think no quarterbacks have come off the board. But there's a lot of pretty comparable values there. Tight end is super gross, and I'm probably just going to punt it till the last pick. Then I'm back at wide receiver. Let's go with Darnell Mooney here. Grab a little bit more value. The best thing about Darnell Mooney is that you look at the depth chart and you've never heard of anybody after him at wide receiver for Atlanta.
What if it's Darnell Mooney week? What if he scores 4 touchdowns and Pitts and London flop? So you have leverage on me as well.
Now Jake has both Bijan and Darnell Mooney. I'm the only one who's not competing for Kirk at this point. And it's back to you, Scott.
Oh boy. I'm gonna have a unique build compared to you guys. I'm gonna go with Chris Godwin.
Ooh.
Godwin back in the slot, playing the Cooper Kupp role, not priced like it, up against the league's worst secondary.
You do get another pick too.
I know I do. This is where it gets tricky. I don't know if this is a good play or not. It's probably not. Jaleel McLaughlin.
Wow.
I know.
All right.
I just hate running backs, dude. But I've been hyping him up the past few weeks. I've been saying the RB2 for Sean Payton is historically more valuable than the RB1 for most other teams. He's only 4,300. It's a pretty gross running back slate. Maybe I should have went with like Singletary or something. But anyway, Jake and I were talking about game script and how Kenneth Walker is historically game script sensitive, but maybe a bell cow this year. And Javonte is extremely game script sensitive. So if, the spread holds true, should be a Jaleel game theoretically. And if it's him plus P Ryan, you just like combine their numbers from last year. Like that's a smash pick.
I've been a huge fan of Jaleel McLaughlin all off season. I like it.
The real reason I did this is because I'm running out of salary cap, boys.
Yeah, no, you put yourself in a little bit of a box here. So you're climbing out of it though. That was a good pick to climb out of the box you put yourself into. Jake, are you gonna snipe him on Kirk?
I don't really like Kirk that much. I just view quarterback as relatively flat this week. which
Yeah.
makes the Kirk pick pretty tough. He isn't. Godwin's a better value in our stuff, but Scott's really sold me on Mike Evans as a play this week.
I did.
Yeah, you had a great. You have a great blurb in your week
do
one
I?
scraps. Yeah, I don't know if you even know what you've written, but I think it's pretty strong. They're both great plays. But yeah, I like Evans there.
That was admittedly painful for me because Mike Evans was top of my board. So now I have to adjust.
That's
with
why they
my-
call it the
my
cage
next pick
match,
now.
Neil.
I know. Yeah, that's it's right. I didn't realize how serious this thing was, how competitive it was going to be. But I can adjust. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. I will adjust. I will make an even better pick. Ooh. It's a good value.
So I did DM you guys a spreadsheet that has all the picks, and I am doing my best to keep track so you can see them more easily. And so we don't
nice.
have a Chuba.
Yeah,
Hubbard.
you want to try and pull that up on the screen, see if that makes things easier for the audience.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
not
you're
a
saying did you
very compelling display.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a white sheet with just text.
All right, I'm going Nico Collins. Love the matchup with
Ooh.
Colts secondary. I think Nico is going to crush this week. And then, man, I think I just got to go tight end. Got to figure out which tight end I want here. Who is cheap enough? I think I'm going to do this without even looking at the projections. No, that's dumb. I'm going to look at the projections. Definitely a mistake to not even look at the projections. So I'm going to tight end. Man,
It's
3,000
tight end.
It is a super brutal week for tight end as I'm looking at it.
That's why I took Pitts, boys.
Man, facing San Fran. I'm just going to go with the top value. Tyler Conklin against the Niners.
Oh, you're in so much trouble, Neil.
Yeah.
Why?
You realize
that's Monday night. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there needs to be punishments. We need to institute punishments to this show.
Listen, if I'm being punished, you need to be punished too for true.
Oh, I know I do.
Listen, I'm adjusting to using new platforms for all my data. You gotta give me a break here.
I'll be honest. Like the fantasy points projections isn't perfectly optimal. Where like you click on main slate and then you click on position and then it like reverts back to Thursday through Monday. We're working on it. We'll get there.
Yeah, no,
We're a
definitely
few weeks
we'll get
away.
there. Well, then I'm all right. Wait, I got to look at my team. So what do I need? I need tight end, flex, quarterback, DSC. So I could go flex here too if I don't love any of the tight ends, and I don't love any of the tight ends. No, I'm gonna go tight end anyway. Man, Johnny Munt. Do I want to go Johnny Munt? That doesn't feel good. Jawan Johnson. He is playing week one, right? Yeah, I don't love my options here. I'm gonna go Johnny Munt, 2,900, whatever. It's a tight end. I already, little correlation with Malik Neighbors there. Why not? Get a cheap tight end in there. All right. Back to
I was thinking about blocking you and taking a tight end with my last pick, and you didn't even take the right one. Look at that.
Oh, really? You wanted somebody else?
We have a guy who's like popping in our optos in the flex. I don't know how I feel about that tight end in the flex, but that's what we have.
Yeah, I have not looked at the optimal lineups yet. That was actually my plan, and then I couldn't. I had too much work to do outside of this, so did not get a chance to actually run the optos to see what the optimal lineups look like, which should be the process. I think with a show like this, I figure out who goes into the optimal lineups is probably the best process. But I'm going vibes based today. I'm going mostly vibes and looking at fantasy points, projected points per dollar. Jake, do you know who you want here?
Yeah, like I said, I think quarterback is pretty flat, and I would rather have tight end come to me. So I'm gonna wait on that. Gonna wait on flex. I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield. Pair up with Mike Evans. Obviously, don't want to stack too much in a 3-man here, but he's right there as the top value on the slate. Quarterback 9 on the slate by 2023 DraftKings fantasy points per game, but the quarterback 14 by DraftKings salary. And this Washington defense is horrendous. Gave up the most passing yards per game, highest passer rating, and the most adjusted net yards per attempt last year.
Yeah, you've got the stack with Rashad White and Mike Evans. Can't argue with that. All right, Scott. So you've got running back, all your wide receiver slots, and tight end filled. Are you going to do the double tight end thing?
I am, because that's what the Opto is recommending. I'm going to go with Devin Singletary at running back and Evan Ingram as my tight end.
I was thinking about Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I'm not the world's biggest Ingram lover, but I mean, he was a beast at the tail end of last season. Chris Wecht is a big fan, or the projections really like him. And like, is Kirk banged up? Jake, did you look into that at all?
Yeah, I did. So he was back at practice on August 26th. The initial injury was described as mild, so I'm not too worried about it. I put a note in the week 1 scrap stock about that. So yeah, I'm not too worried about Kirk's status. But either way, Ingram and Kirk are going to get all the targets here.
Yeah. All right. So back to so you have 2 picks left. Jake, you are up with 3 picks remaining. You just get 1 pick here.
All right. With 5,300 remaining, let's see. If I go Munt here, what does that give me?
You can't go Munt. Come on.
Did you take Munt? Or
we have all screwed up. We are all being punished. Yeah, I took Munt.
Oh gosh. And I'm the guy keeping track in the spreadsheet. I have this on another screen. Yeah, we will simply get better in future weeks. All right. Well, that certainly makes things a little tricky. Might go flex. Yeah, everyone gets punished. Sounds about right. Man, tight end is so gross this week. It really is Pitts and then everyone else. And I imagine you'll see that reflected in ownership when tournaments get kicked up. I'll go with Noah Fant here.
Noah Fant with a Q tag, not scaring you off him. So it looks like you are going to have a little bit of money left over at flex after you make your defense pick. All right, I have quarterback, flex, and DST left to pick. All right, so 17,600. Do I want to stack it all? That is the first question. I guess dimes maybe make sense, but let me see. If I go in the flex, could I double stack CJ Stroud with Diggs here? If I go Diggs, Stroud would be 7,500. So then I would have 3,400 left over for my defense. Yeah, plenty of money left over. All right, I'm going Stroud. We're doing the double stack.
Does it concern you that Diggs is the 3rd best separator on the team?
Not at all, because it is just an elite team, and CJ Stroud can get the ball to anybody. It doesn't matter how good of a separator they are. CJ Stroud is just that good. That's why I picked CJ Stroud, because he's just going to crush whoever is out there. So no, not worried at all.
CJ Stroud does say, though, that if he could throw to anyone, it would be Tank Dell, who doesn't appear to be on your team.
He says that, but that's kind of a great diversion tactic by CJ Stroud, because he really wants to throw the ball to Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs.
I don't know. I heard CJ Stroud is a big ass man.
Is he really?
Yeah. So if you're an ass man, there's only one wide receiver for you. It's the ass god.
The ass god.
The ass god, which is
I have the real ass god, which is Jalen Naylor. But yeah, Tank Dell is the ass god if you set any sort of qualifier.
Oh, okay. You're right. Fair point. The robust sample size ass god.
Of course. Is it me up next here?
You are up.
All right. So I can pretty much do whatever I want with the salary I have remaining. Let's see. I think I'm going to take the more locked in role and go with Jonathan Taylor here. And then, I can pick whatever defense I want. Really like Jonathan Taylor. I think that there's a good argument to be made. I mean, first of all, Evan Hull and Trey Sermon are, the guys behind him. So That's awesome for workload. More importantly than that, though, and I do think this matters, Anthony Richardson's 2 injuries last year both came on designed runs, and I would not be surprised if, especially inside the 10, Indianapolis, more used him as a, sort of a fake, to just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor, pound that rock with a guy that you're a little less concerned about getting hurt.
Yep. All right, so we're on to Scott's pick. Scott has 2 picks left. Jake and I each have
3
one
picks
more.
left.
No, you have a quarterback and a defense. That's all you got.
Oh,
yeah, that is what I have.
I forgot about my Godwin pick.
But
Okay.
we've gone a little bit faster than, to be honest. I thought with 3 of us, it was going to be a struggle to get in under an hour. So I was like, all right, I guess we'll go fast through this. We have plenty of time left. If we're going to go a full hour, we've got another 20 minutes left on the show, and we have 4 total picks left to make. So I feel like we can answer some questions. We can talk a little bit. We can vamp a little bit. I like this question. Chris G asks, how do you guys differ from Endgame Syndicate? I would say quite a bit. Fantasy Points is very different from Endgame Syndicate in that Fantasy Points is all about tools. I mean, it's all NFL and it's all football, I should say. It's all football, fantastic tools, the best tools in the business, I think, like just like NFL tools, NFL data tools, and then fantastic NFL content. And it's specific to, it's specific to football, but then it's also specific to like NFL DFS, whereas Endgame Syndicate is more like they teach you how to play DFS best ball games specifically. So it's more like the game theory involved. It's more educational, whereas I would say Fantasy Points is more like this is the data and then content around that data for specific types of like football specific stuff is how I would describe the difference. Does anybody have anything else?
I would chime in to say that we have the highest quality writing and player takes of any site that exists.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure it's that close, especially in regards to writing. We're just way better than everyone else. So I think that would be a pretty major difference between us and Endgame Syndicate, who, like Neil said, will focus a lot on the game theory element. And obviously we'll talk about that, throughout our DFS content, but we're a lot more football centric, and, the writing quality, I think, is, what makes us stand out. But I'm sure Scott has a hot take on why Fantasy Points is different.
Yeah, we're football only. I think we're the best. We have the best football analysis. We definitely have the best football data. Just invented a revolutionary new stat today, which should, in theory, also give us the best projections. And you have the best data, the best analysts, the best analysis, the best projections. You should win a lot of money betting, playing DFS, playing fantasy football. And that's what you've seen from our subscribers, is a lot of people making a lot of money in bets or in DFS. We had a Millie Maker winner in Discord last year, plenty of 6-figure screenshots. I feel like we're still like, we're only like just now coming out of our shell. I feel like we were like the industry's best kept secret, and now people are like, oh no, Fantasy Points is the GOAT.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fantasy Points is the GOAT for what it does, absolutely. But yeah, I think that they're very different sites, which is part of the reason that I brought up. Is just like, yeah, they do different things. They have different purposes.
Is that Brick site?
That's Brick and Ship My Money, and so I'm friendly with those guys. So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not
dude,
trying
Brick's a genius. Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely for anything he's doing.
Of course, no ill will.
No shade on anyone else. We're just talking
Yeah,
ourselves up here.
Yeah,
just totally different purposes of the sites.
Yeah, very different products. I would totally agree. And I did want to highlight how excited I am about our new projection system this year, led by Chris Wecht. We absolutely crushed UFL projections last year. We were the most accurate UFL projections. We destroyed ESPN Bet on props last year. I had a plus 35% ROI on props. I had 2 accounts get limited, but I have a lot of friends and family members, so that is not a problem for me. I've already made some bets based off Chris's projections, and I'm constantly tweaking with them, looking at them. It's a lot of fun. I'm very, very excited about our projections this year.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to just like get to go in, use the Fantasy Points projections, because I have tons of faith in Chris. Like there's not many people that I respect more than Chris in the industry. One of the smartest guys I know. So definitely in good hands with the fantasy points projections. Makes me feel confident in using them for sure. Of course, I have no idea who was doing them last year, so no insult to that person. But I know Chris, so I know that they're going to be excellent projections this year. And of course, I'm loving the way my team is coming together right here. Not EOM says Neil is a 2 tight end truther. That's not entirely false, I would say. I am, unlike other people in DFS, I think that there are a lot of DFS players who like set rules to not have 2 tight ends in their lineup, and that is not something that I like try to get. I don't go out of my way to get 2 tight ends, but I've never like tried to set that rule. Like if 2 tight ends project well enough point per dollar, make my lineup better as a whole, I'm totally fine with having 2 tight ends in my lineup. How do you guys feel about 2 tight ends in a DFS lineup? Scott, I'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on playing 2 tight ends in the same lineup?
Yeah, I historically don't love it, but it was a cheat code at times last year. You can say things are different now, like so many debates this offseason within the best ball streets regarding elite tight end and how tight end is more top heavy and deeper than ever before. And, not even included in that is the new hip drop tackle rule, which should benefit tight ends, the increasing rates of zone coverage. And then the fact that these tight ends like Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid are young, Kyle Pitts are all young and ascending. Maybe that's the new fantasy cheat code. I don't know. I'm just deferring with Evan Ingram here. I'm just deferring to Chris's projections early in the week, a little behind on research. So also shout out to Scuddy Stud, who said the Fantasy Points Discord also has a ton of very sharp players in there. You'll learn a lot from hanging out in Discord. Yeah, strongly agree. Discord's an absolute blast. You can learn from hashtag Russ Novels. It was like my favorite thing about Discord. He won a Millie Maker last year. He's personally really helped me to become a much better DFS player. John Proctor is always in there ragging on me, but also helping the subs out, helping me out. So yeah, if you don't know John Proctor, he's like one of the all-time DFS goats. He basically bought a house with his preseason DFS winnings. We do a show every Sunday morning. That's probably the most valuable paywalled piece of content we have on the site.
Who would rag on Scott? I can't even imagine. I mean, that blows my mind. I can't picture the person.
The stuff Johnny gets away with. I don't know that anyone else does, but
if you like to make fun of Scott, there's no better place than the Fantasy Points Discord.
That's true. It is the best place for ragging on Scott for sure. Yeah, get in there if you're not already in the Fantasy Points Discord. And I assume you have to buy some product. Is it just any Fantasy Points product you can get in, or is it a free Discord?
Well, if you want to be in the DFS channel, you need at least premium or all in.
Okay. And can you remind me one more time the 20% off Assman 20?
That's for the data suite or all in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Score More is the premium code.
Okay. Is that also 20% off, or is that a different?
I think it's 20.
There?
I'll have to double check that. We've been mixing it around.
Okay. And I realize now, not you, and probably said that I'm a 2 tight end truther. I forgot that was what I was known for a little while, because my second biggest DFS win of all time was a showdown slate where I played 2 tight ends from the same team. So that was how I scored big in Showdown a couple of years back. So I sort of forgot that was my brand a little bit. Also, yes, I do apologize. I saw people pointing out I'm not even wearing a flannel. I'm not in the Flannelverse right now, so I'm not obligated to wear a flannel on the Fantasy Points channel. And it's just too warm. It's too warm right now. So sorry. I'll be better. I'll start wearing my flannel more frequently. Are we ready?
Yeah.
It is your turn. You do have 2 picks to make, Scott.
So I screwed up here. I wish I could take back the Godwin pick or something, but I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels and then Vikings defense. Not terrible, but just not my optimal.
Jaden Daniels, Vikings defense. Oh, very nice. Look at that. Scott really did the math for this one. Comes down to just 100 left over. How are you feeling about the lineup, Scott?
It's fine. Would like to change a few things around, but I mean, I think it's going to win. I think it's going to beat you guys, but I don't know that it's optimal.
Yeah, no, I disagree about the part where you said you think you're going to beat us. I think
Oh.
my lineup is going to crush both of
Oh
yours.
no.
The Texans against that Colts secondary. Tank Dell's not going to do much, but like the offense is just going to crush overall. So yeah, I'm not worried about this lineup. All right, Jake, you have one pick remaining, and then I have the final pick. Your pick is just a defense, so not the most exciting pick.
It is. And I've also got my lovely Augusta Animal here with me, who is going to be very excited when I take home $100 for one of his favorite charities.
That's great.
Yeah, my pick here, I don't really love the Cowboys defense, so I'm going to go with the Cincinnati defense against New England. Yeah, don't have a lot of high hopes for this New England offense. Implied team total isn't great. And I want to get close to using all my salary, so I at least feel like I paid attention, even though I accidentally selected Johnny Munt like 10 minutes ago.
We all made errors on the first show, but we're just getting our legs under us on this show. Different format. I've never had to draft against other people making a lineup on DraftKings before, so it is a little bit unique. All right, who do I want? So I appreciate neither of you chose a defense I think that I could have picked. I think you both picked defenses that were more expensive than I can access, which is great for me. I feel like the Bears against Will Levis. I mean, there's going to be turnovers there, right? Will Levis is just going to chuck it downfield. The Bears are going to intercept it a couple times, maybe a pick six in there. So that does feel like the obvious pick to me. There's also the Falcons against Russ. I don't hate that, but no, I'm going the Bears against Tennessee. Used up my full salary, which I think is an indication that I have the best lineup. I am the only one of us who used the full salary. I got the double stack with CJ Stroud. Didn't do any kind of a bring back from the Colts because I'm not a huge believer in the Colts, but I got Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs there. Got Johnny Munt paired with Malik Neighbors, so got a little nice correlation there. The best value play in Chuba Hubbard. Kenneth Walker just ready to absolutely dominate this year. I'm liking my team. Leaving zero on the table. 300 for Jake, 100 for Scott. We all actually did a very good job of like making teams that used an appropriate amount of salary without going over. Well done.
Yeah, that was great, guys. I'm excited to have finally been in the cage with some great men. This is
let's do some season long predictions for the cage match. So my prediction is I am going to go 18-0. But I'm facing two different people each week. So is it 36-0? I think I'm going to go undefeated is what I'm saying against Jake, against all of the guests. I don't think anybody's going to beat me all year. So that's my prediction. I don't think it's that bold of a take. I think it almost goes without saying that I'm going to go undefeated. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go undefeated. 36-0, 18-0, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, should be pretty light work.
I think it's really hard to go undefeated just because we get so much late news late in the week. So if anyone could do it, it's Neil. But
wow,
I don't know.
I love that you said Neil and not Jake there. I do appreciate that.
What's that about, man?
I'm just messing around. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, this is my favorite show. I loved coming on as a guest when Al did it. And so when he said he was not going to do it, I had to bring it back from the dead. And I thought you two would be, because Jake, you do early look early in the week. So you probably have like the best gauge, DFS gauge on a Wednesday of anyone. So really, I think you're going to be the ringer, Jake. I think you're going to really stick it to our guests every week.
I sure hope so. This week's DFS early look was written a month ago. So I did feel a little rusty coming in, but next week's DFS early look will be written on Monday. So I'll be very fresh. So that'll probably be an even better week for me, headed straight towards $200 for Friends of North Augusta Animals.
Nobody warned me that Jake was going to be doing the early look show, because this is I've looked at the slate a little bit, but I definitely have not done the full deep dive. As I'm working on that now, I'm getting into the deep dive. So I probably am at a slight disadvantage to Jake, who has put in the work. It's also more cashy, which honestly, it's been years. I'm getting into cash this year, but I have not played cash in several years at this point. So it is a little bit of a different format. So yeah, I'm probably, if I'm being honest, I'm probably a little bit of a dog to go be above 500 here, but I'm going to put the work in. I think that I can do it. I think that I can come out ahead in these contests. I feel good about this first contest. I think that we all put together pretty good lineups. was not, a total train wreck here. So nice job, guys. All right. We have a lot of content coming out. I know, I assume you both have a ton of content coming out. Actually, I know some of each of your content that is going to be coming out the rest of the week. Scott, let's start with you. What content do you have coming out the rest of week 1?
Well, Jake and I are tag teaming the slate breakdown. So we should get that up first thing Saturday morning, maybe even a little early this year, maybe Friday. And then I have Outside the Box with you on Saturday. And then I have a Sunday update with John Proctor Sunday morning. And the rest of the time I'll just be in Discord. Hit me up I live exclusively in the DFS channel in season, but just hit me up there and we can talk some DFS.
Hell yeah. Jake, what do you have coming up this week?
Yeah, so already mentioned the DFS early look. That's an article that'll be out every Tuesday. There's also a video accompanying that with Thomas Tipple, who is a great host for the early look. I'll be helping Scott out with his slate breakdown, obviously doing this show. And then on Fridays, I'll have 3 hours of streams to do back to back. First, Cashing Points with Graham Barfield, and I believe we'll be rotating guests for the third spot there. So that should be a ton of fun. And then a brand new show, the Underdog Battle Royale Drafter Party, named by Ryan Heath. That is a fantastic name. Me and Ryan Heath going to be drafting some Battle Royale teams. It's going to be really awesome. That is, especially compared to DFS, a much more unsolved game type. I think those games are a lot softer. I think there's a lot of fun conversations to be had around players while we draft some teams. So yeah, that should be a great way to wind down Friday nights. That'll be at 8:30, Cashing Points at 7. So yeah, if you guys are ever bored on a Friday, I will be on YouTube all night long.
Love that. No, I'm looking forward to that show. And you found the one person in the industry who is younger than yourself to do content with on Friday nights. That should be a good show, you and Ryan Heath for sure. I'm doing a ton of content. I'll tell you about a little bit of it, which is for Fantasy Points, I am going to be doing showdown write-ups Monday, Thursday, and Sunday each week. This week also doing a Friday write-up. So I'll be doing a ton of showdown content that'll be behind the paywall at Fantasy Points. Of course, doing Outside the Box, that's going to be in front of the paywall. That is a free show that Scott and I are going to do here on the Fantasy Points channel every Saturday. I've said it before, never done any kind of content that's gotten the kind of positive feedback that we got from Outside the Box last year. And people continue to ask constantly, are you guys doing it this year? People are excited about it. I'm super excited to be working with Scott again, Outside the Box. And then the only other piece of content that I'll tell you about is along with doing the write-ups at Fantasy Points on my own YouTube channel, the Flannelverse going to be doing live, prior to lock, I'll be doing live streams for the showdown games as well on my channel, the Flannelverse. The link is in the description of this video. But that is all I have got. Really appreciate both of you. Let's do some good charity work this year. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Make sure you go sign up for Fantasy Points if you haven't already done so, and look out for my showdown lineup soon. Thanks, guys.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.